Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some MTG Arena for the pack openings. Of course. I haven't done one of these in a hot minute, so figured, the time is right. I still have plenty of packs that need to be opened, and I might be getting more because we're going to open our inbox first. Actually, first we're going to turn the master volume down to 55 because that was loud in my ears just then. Alright. Okay. Okay, so these three are from today. That's just an article thing. That one is also as well. Okay. Haha! We got something to claim. 3 more packs, and then of course some basic lands. That one looks really nice. That one looks cool. That one's very scenic. So we've got 3 more to add to the docket that we will get to eventually. For now, we have Phyrexia. All will be one. And no time to wait. And before we proceed, I will not be going through the entire spell book sets for individual cards anymore. I've noticed that has taken up way too much time, and even though I've really liked some of them, it's just adding 15 cards to an already pretty stacked card reading, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, we'll just open our first one and start off. As always, we will be starting from the bottom right and working our way to the unflipped card at the top left. Alright. First one is a Basilica Skull Bomb, which is a 1-drop artifact. If you pay 1, you can sacrifice it and draw a card, or you can pay 2 and a plains or white mana. Sacrifice it, and target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn. Draw a card, activate only as a sorcery. So either way, you still get to draw a card, which is nice. And both you have to sacrifice the card, which, with how cheap it is and the fact that it really doesn't do anything else, it's not that bad of a trade-off. Moving on, we have Kuldotha Cackler, which is a metal and fire hyena. Okay, yeah, I was about to say hyena. I'm read ahead to confirm. But yeah. I assumed it was a hyena off of it being a cackler for, cackles, laughing. But anyways, it is a 3-drop Phyrexian hyena. So that's what hyenas look like in Phyrexia. It has trample. It also has, its ability is whenever Kuldotha Cackler attacks, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of permanents you control with oil counters on them. So there we have the oil counter mechanic back into play there. I vaguely remember it from the last stream because I knew that we were doing an expansion of the expansion of Phyrexia the last time, so I figured it would either be a new thing for that portion of the thing, or it was going to carry over and was introduced in either this or an earlier expansion. So, it is a 2/3, and we will move on. And did I say it was a 2-drop or a 3-drop? Because it's a 3-drop, and I may have miffed up and said it was a 2-drop. Either way, I'm clarifying it now. It's a 3-drop, 2 of any color and 1 red. And we got a common wild card. Okay, and then we have Sylvok Battle Chair, which is a 6-drop artifact equipment. 4 Mirrodin. Okay. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. Oh. Okay. Equipped creature gets +4/+4 and has trample, and it has an equip cost of 7, 5 of any color, and 2 green. But when you just play it outright, you create the token and then attach it to it, so it's an automatic, like an auto equip. So basically, you don't really have to worry about the equip cost, because it auto equips to this rebel token, which is a 2/2, which makes that a 6/6. And unless you want to equip it to something better, you don't really have to worry about the equipment cost. Because from the way I read this, it's like it's an auto equip. So, because it literally just, it states right there, like, oops, sorry, I can't I can't move my mouse high enough to actually point at it. Unless maybe if I do this? No, because then that covers the whole thing. I wonder. Hold on. Okay, you guys can't see it. My apologies. But, well, let me see if I can do something. Nope. You guys can't see it, but I opened up the Xbox game bar, so that gives me free access to move my mouse wherever. So it says it right here, then attach this to it, so I'm going to assume that that means for free. It doesn't say it, but it seems like it's implied. So. Sorry, I still have to clear my throat. I apologize. I don't know why, especially during these streams, that it feels like something gets caught in my throat and I can't get rid of it. Like, if I'm just doing like normal video game stuff, this doesn't happen. But if I'm just sitting here and reading stuff, for some reason, it's bad. So, please excuse me one moment. Okay, I should be fine. I aggressively cleared my throat, which is why I scrolled away. Like, rolled away on my chair. Because you guys didn't need to see nor hear that. Okay, where were we at? We were over here. Well, yeah, we just got done with that one. Chrome Prowler is a 3-drop artifact creature, Phyrexian cat. I like cats. I have cats, but I don't like Phyrexian cats. I mean, it looks cool, but in order for me to like a cat, it's kind of gotta be cute and cuddly, and that's not cute and cuddly. So, not for me. Not a cat for me. It has flash, which can be played at any time a instant can be played. When Chrome Prowler enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. A fairly common mechanic. And it's a 3/2, so not too shabby. A Mire Kinsmith is a 4-drop artifact creature, Mire. When Mire Kinsmith enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Mire card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. And it's a 3/1, which would be very awkward if this was your only Mire in your deck. I know that there's a card called Palladium Mire that Garrett's used in a physical deck, and I don't remember what it does, so I'm gonna look it up. Palladium Mire. Okay, so Palladium Mire is a tap to add 2 colors mana to your mana pool. And it's a 2/2 artifact creature. So that's the only Mire that I was previously aware of. So if you haven't been drawing him, but you have one of these or a full playset of these and you get that first, that actually helps you out in getting the Palladium Mire out. Or whatever Mire that you may be using in the deck as well. So I like, for those of you who haven't watched any of these before, I do like to think of instances of when you would want to play this or how you'd want to use it in a deck. I am not super knowledgeable about everything about this game, but I know enough to have some theorizing, some hypotheses of what you could do with it. Okay, moving on. We are going to be looking at Charforger, which is a 3-drop creature, Phyrexian beast. When Charforger enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature token, which is shown right here. And whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Charforger. Okay, so there's your oil counter, one that you can use in tandem with the Coldotha Cackler, and they're even very similar creatures in appearance. Same with the goblin. So if like your theme of your, if you just want to have a themed deck where it's just these metallic fire creatures from Phyrexia, there is evidence of a play mechanic that you could focus on for said deck. So that'd be pretty cool. I feel like I don't really do much deck building, but I feel like I could do a deck build for something like this. I think it'd be pretty cool. Anyways, remove 3 oil counters from Charforger, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And it's a 2/3. That's an interesting card, definitely. And then let us reveal the final card. I regret, because that thing is nightmare fuel. Anyways, it's Rhea Ivor, Bane of the Blade Hold. It's also Bane to my eyes, but that's beside the point. It is a 4-drop legendary creature, Phyrexian Knight. Battle Cry. Okay, whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Alright. At the beginning of your combat turn, or of the beginning of combat on your turn, which I guess is the same as what I said, but I unintentionally paraphrased. The next time target creature would deal combat damage to 1 or more players, this combat prevent that damage. Okay. At the beginning of combat on your turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to 1 or more players, this combat prevent that damage. Okay. So I know when you put target creature, like, I believe that's a creature you choose. It's worded very weirdly. Like, normally when something says target creature, like, and I'm going to assume that that's the case for this one because trying to make sense of that whole very long and elaborate sentence. So basically, at the beginning of your combat, or the combat on your turn, you then pick a target creature, and the next time it would deal combat damage to any player, or a number of players, during that combat, that damage is prevented. I'm not sure that's a thing that I would use. I mean, it sounds good from the vague understanding that I'm getting of it. It's a very elaborate explanation. I feel like if it was worded differently, I'd have a better time fully grasping what it's trying to get at. But I will continue reading. If damage is prevented this way, so if the beginning half of this paragraph of a ability works, create that many. Okay, so based on the damage that's being prevented, that many 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. AKA the token to the right there. Okay. That's a whole lot of things, and that's something that would usually be like create X number of 1/1 colorless that it does. Where X is the number of damage prevented. Is the usual phrasing that I would expect from a Magic card, but it put it in a more direct term, more like normal sentence structure, where the first half of it is like a very elaborate sentence. The second one is like a simplified version of this many represented by like X many, where X is the number of blah blah. Like this is a very, very weirdly worded ability on this card. Like, it feels like the first half is overcomplicated way of explaining it, and then the second half is more simplified than even other Magic cards usually word it. So this okay. We're gonna move on, but I'm just saying this is a very weird card, and its picture is kind of nightmare fuel. And I did say that it's a 3/4. If not, it is a 3/4 where the token is a 1/1. Covering all my bases, moving on. And then no more of that, please. Okay. Complete Devotion, where complete is spelled in an odd manner. It is a 2-drop instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If that creature has Toxic, draw a card. Alright. And then we have Gold Warden's Helm, which is a 3-drop artifact equipment for Mirrodin. So this is the equipment enters the battlefield, create 2/2 rebel, and attach it to it. So it's another, like, you could honestly make a rebel token theme, like, centered deck. I have an elemental and a few other token themed deck in the actual like physical game that I use very like whenever I play. Most of the time I'll use that deck. So I feel like you could do the same thing with these rebels. Is like have a bunch of equipment that'll just immediately create these tokens and have them auto-equip for it, so that way you don't have to worry about equipment costs. It saves you on mana. So instead of spending 3 mana on the equipment and then another 2 to equip it, it auto-equips itself to a creature token that you have to create because of the for Mirrodin ability. So yeah. Equipped creature gets +0/+1, which makes sense. It's not a weapon, it's a helmet. So it adds to your defense and not your attack. So pretty basic stuff. And then like the 2 equipment costs I already passively mentioned when explaining the mechanic. Alright, moving on. We've got Gitaxian Anatomist, which is a 4-drop creature Phyrexian wizard. When Gitaxian I said it perfectly the first time. Anatomist enters the battlefield, you may tap it. If you do, proliferate, which is choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind there already are. So I believe this is the one that I had a little bit of struggle with understanding the other time, but I do believe that it's like literally like pick any number of the permanents or the players, or the players, and then everything that has a token of whether it's a poison counter or oil counter or a +1/+1 counter or whatever, like, they get another one. So it's a +1 for like as many of the counters as you want, essentially, because it says any number of permanents and or players. So if all your other players have poison counters on them, you can bump them all up 1, and you're like, yeah, basically any positive counters you have, you can bump up 1, and any negative counters, like negative affecting counters your opponents have, you can bump those up by 1. That way you tick it in your favor in both regards. And if they're 1 away from being poison countered out of the game, you can eliminate or win a game. Like, eliminate a opponent or win a game based solely on that. So that seems fairly nice to have. And then it's a 2/5, by the way. Moving on to Expand the Sphere, which is a 4-drop sorcery. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put up to 2 land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you put fewer than 2 lands onto the battlefield this way, proliferate a number of times equal to the difference. So that's either once or twice, because... No, that would only be once, wouldn't it? No, it would be once or twice. Because up to... Yeah, if you put fewer than 2 lands. So if you put 1 or no lands this way, so let's say you pull the top 6 cards of your library, and not a single one of them, or only one of them, is a land that you can do the whole process with of putting them tapped and putting them onto the battlefield. So if it's 1 or none, if it's only 1, you proliferate once. If it's none, then you proliferate twice, because the difference would be 2. Yeah, because if it says fewer than 2, so 2 is your marker, and you weren't able to put any, the difference would be 2. So you proliferate twice, and then only once if you had 1, and then 2 or more, you don't do the proliferate at all. So, yeah, it's an interesting card, I'll say. Definitely good if you are lacking mana and need some. I mean, paying 4 mana to do this is a little bit, like, if you need mana, you have to already have 4, and one of them having to be green in order to even try this. So I don't know how desperate you would be for mana at that point. If you still got 4, you can usually play quite a handful of cards. Nothing big, like the green card on the top row. It's like a 6-drop or something. Can't do that yet, but if you play this, you might end up being able to do that the next turn. I don't know. It's an interesting card. I don't usually play green, but if I did, I'd probably run it, just to see how useful it would actually be. But anyways, we'll move on. Okay. Axiom Engraver is a 2-drop creature Phyrexian wizard. So we have different kinds of Phyrexian wizards. We got this one, and we've got this one, and apparently this one as well, but we'll get to that one later. So very different interpretations of what a Phyrexian wizard is about. But Axiom Engraver enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. So there we've got the oil counters again. So and it's red card, so it would work well with the Phyrexian beast and the Phyrexian hyena and the goblin whole ordeal. So if you want an oil counter red Phyrexian deck, you've got another option for adding to it. I have another option. If I do end up making said deck, which I'm kind of tempted to now, being that I'm getting more and more cards. And of course, like, I do like to use red, especially for like a burn deck. So if I add a little bit of the burn, like, obviously out of 3 packs, I'm not going to have enough to like have a superly built up deck for specifically the oil counters and those kinds of creatures. So if I fill out the rest of the deck with normal like burn cards like Shock and the other one that I can't remember the name of, but it was like a better Shock. I did in one of like the early versions of these streams, like the earlier ones of these streams, which I still need to go back and look at, because I was like, okay, I know I need to put this card into a deck. I either need to replace it Shock, or I need to replace Shock in my MTG Arena deck with it, and then I also need to look into possibly getting the physical cards if there are physical copies of. I don't know what does and does not get a physical copy from these cards, so I kind of assume every card we see or hear in this game has a physical counterpart in an expansion pack. But I don't know for certain. But I do want to go back at one of those and look at that stream and see that card and make those things happen. But anyways, I'd probably fill the rest of that deck for a standard 60 with those burn cards. And then on top of that, so we could have the Phyrexian beasts and hyenas and stuff like that, and the oil counter stuff, and then still do that burn damage for extra little kick. So yeah. Anyways, tap, remove an oil counter from Axiom Engraver, discard a card, draw a card. So a pretty simple mechanic, nothing too fancy here. It is a 1/3, so not a very strong creature, but it works more for oil counter mechanics. Moving on, we've got Sky Scythe Engulfer, which is a 6-drop creature Phyrexian beast with reach and trample. Sky Scythe Engulfer can't be blocked by creatures with flying. So it has reach, so it can block creatures with flying, but it can't be blocked by creatures with flying. That's pretty good. And of course, trample is always really good. For those of you who don't know, trample is like a creature with trample can deal excess combat damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Basically, it's saying even if you block it, if it does... Okay, so I'll give a brief example. Most people who know this game know what trample does, but for those of you who don't know, like this is like one of the first videos that you see about Magic because you're interested in the game and you don't know a whole lot about it. This is for this specific niche audience here. I'm talking to you specifically for right now. Trample, if you attack with this card and someone with a 5/5 blocks it, them dealing 5 damage to your card with the blocking will kill this, but it has one more attack than the other has defense. So not only will they kill each other, that 1 extra damage from the 6 over the 5 will go directly to the player, or if you're targeting the planeswalker that they have on the field, it'll go to them instead. So planeswalker is basically like a secondary player-ish. It's a card that has 1 number as like a health thing, and it's separate from creatures. It's hard to explain exactly how it works. I've never really read like the rules about a planeswalker. I've just kind of like known that like this is what it does. You add counters to it, which is also its health, to either gain, like you gain or you lose counters on it to activate abilities and stuff like that. That's a very odd way of describing it, but like honestly, just Google it, you'll get a lot more clean cut answer. Like, I understand, I've played the game several times. I haven't really used a whole lot of planeswalkers, but I know how to. I just don't know how to put it into words properly. So that is my bad. I do apologize. But basically, anything that doesn't get blocked by a blocking creature goes over and carries over to the actual target of the for the damage. So, trample, very useful, like great to have on any card. And with reach, it can block creatures with flying. Otherwise, a creature has to have flying to block another creature with flying. So, not only can this block creatures with flying can't block it, which is specifically an ability for this card and others that have this exact ability. It's not a normal thing for flying creatures to not be able to block certain cards. So that's why it doesn't have a bold text ability name. It's just the actual typed out ability of the card. Which at this point, I think there should be a bold text ability for something like this, because it does. I've seen it a few times, and I think it's worth having something like that. Something, maybe call it like aerial superiority or something like that, like where it's like, hey, flying creatures can't block this because it's whatever. I don't know. That enough babbling discussion about that. I did note that hopefully I noted that it is a 6/5, so. Alright. Moving on, we have Atmosphere Surgeon. Don't know how you operate on an atmosphere, but apparently that's their job. It is a 2-drop Phyrexian wizard creature. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Atmosphere Surgeon. Remove an oil counter from Atmosphere Surgeon. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And it is a 2/1. Alright. So, if you're like me and like to use the blue and the red together for the combinations of the normal mechanics that go with said color cards, this would add to that oil counter mechanic based deck. So initially I could build it as a pure red deck, or at this point, like now the door has opened up to allow it to be a blue-red deck. Now moving on to the last card. Phyrexian Arena is a 3-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Once again, not worth it, in my opinion. Because, okay, so during your upkeep, your upkeep, you untap all your cards and stuff like that, and then you draw a card. So you're already drawing a card every turn. With this enchantment in play, you're drawing a card, then untapping all your stuff, and then drawing another card. So this is a secondary draw. This is a second card drawing that happens before the first one, at the very beginning of your turn. And it costs you a life point. And as long as this enchantment is on the battlefield, you repeat this process. So every round you're losing life and you're drawing 2 cards. There are better ways to draw cards. There are better cards that, like, just have toxic creatures and use this one to draw a card. Or use this one to look at the top 6 cards of your library and put however many of the lands are, and then you can, if it's only 1 or none, then you can proliferate. Like, there are other ways to draw cards than sacrificing your life points. Which is, I know I keep going on this rant almost every time it comes up with a black card, but the black mana cards love doing this, and I don't like using the black mana cards because of this. There are not very many black mana cards that I will use because they love to do this stuff. Like, there's a black mana card called Murder, which is basically just like destroy a target creature. Okay, that's fine. I have that in a deck. I've used it. That's fine. It's like, oh, boom, your creature's dead. Cry about it. Like, that's fine. But it's like, okay, I've laid down this card and now I've put this match on a timer. I've got to nail you pretty much every single round for at least 2 damage, or I'm going to die first. And that's not even accounting for decks that'll boost your life points and you gain a life point. Like, if you had an enchantment that every round you gain a life, then you can balance it out and then it's fine. But, like, you're not always gonna have that. So to me, it seems like a very risky play to use your life points like that. I've seen people win while using it, yeah, sure, but, like, it doesn't seem like a very smart decision to do that to yourself. Like, you might pull the right cards to have enough damage to, like, just blow through someone's health, but do you really want to dwindle your own health in the process with each passing round? I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. Other people do it. That's fine with them. But that's not for me. It's not for me at all. Alright. Last pack of the Phyrexia all will be won. We start off with Branch Blight Stalker, which is a 2-drop creature Phyrexian Elf Scout. Has Toxic 2. And it is a 3/1. And Toxic 2, for those that don't know, the player dealt combat damage by a creature with Toxic also gets poison counters equal to that creature's total Toxic value. So every time this creature does combat damage, the player it is attacking gets 2 poison counters, and if a player gets 10 or more, they lose the game. So if you hit 5 times with this card, and you actually hit and do damage, then you win. So yeah, I don't know very many people who try to go for the poison counter win. But if you have a full play set of these and you're pumping them out and you're swinging for damage and you've got the proliferate stuff going on, you can steamroll someone through the poison counter thing. You won't even have to worry about the health. Which then I guess you could use the enchantment that you lose a life every round and draw a card or whatever. But once again, not my playstyle, not my cup of tea. Wouldn't recommend, but you can do it if you're going for that poison, that quick poison counter kill game. Then by all means, you start off with 20 life points in a 1v1 and like 40 in a multi and like you start off with at least 20 health. So if you're going for that early, like this is low cost, big swing for poison counter when you compare it to like 10. You're already a fifth away there with one go. Like, and if you proliferate, you add a poison counter to them on top of that, then it can be a quick game, and you don't really have to worry about your life counter. Life points, life counter, life points. Yeah, you won't have to worry about your life total. You can be a little bit more frivolent with how losing some if you're going in for that alternate way to victory. I'll say, because it's not a very common technique, not at least in my experience. But that'd be a very interesting thing. Like I'm not really sure that I want to build a deck like that, but I think that I could. And I think it would definitely hinge on having a full play set of these and any others that just simply have the toxic whatever number in their thing. And by the way, it's a 3/1 if I haven't mentioned that already. Moving on. Volt Charge is a 3-drop instant. Volt Charge deals 3 damage to any target. Proliferate. I think this might be that card. I think this might be the better than Shock card for like 1 more mana, 1 more damage, and the Proliferate. So if you use that and they have poison counters or whatever on them already, that'd be pretty good. So, yeah, Volt Charge. I'm going to do a thing. Do I still have TCG? Yeah, I still have TCG Player. I haven't opened it in forever, but it's still on my phone. Thank goodness. And I'm going to look up Volt Charge and see if there is a physical copy. There is. Now I want to see. Oh. I gotta re-look it up because the thing refreshed. So it made me refresh the app. The database or whatever restocked. So Volt Charge. Okay, and then where's the thing? Like, hold on. Alright, okay. Yeah, Volt Charge.
Yeah, there's one for new Phyrexia, which I believe is the one that I saw before, and then of course there's this one. I thought there was a way to like filter out for a foil, because I'm a sucker for foils. So if I order a card, then I'll definitely get a foil version. So I'm sorry if I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There we go. Foil. Done. So yeah, I can get a near mint foil one for 5 cents. So I can get 4 of these for 20 cents. That's crazy. Only one of the places have it for more than one. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry I'm doing shopping right here in the middle of the video, but can you blame me? The shipping is $4, but it doesn't even insult me at all because it makes the total like $4.19 because it's actually $3.99. Do I have a TCG player account? I didn't remember. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize up the wazoo for this, but like seriously, this is. Oh yeah, I do have an account. I might have to. I don't know. It has my current. Okay. I didn't even realize that it had the. Sales tax 1 cent, so it does end up being $4.20. So, make jokes all you want about it being $4.20 as a total, but I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna buy Magic cards right here on TCG Player on stream. So, yeah, check out with Apple Pay. Alright. Awesome. I just spent $4.20 on a brand new play set of cards to make Garrett mad. He hates them. He's had a land destruction burn deck for years now, but he absolutely hates how I use burn decks. Like he has his land destruction burden deck as a big old screw you, but once I got my hands on like burn deck mechanics, I'm not big on land destruction because I'm like, okay, I really don't care if you have a bunch of land. If I'm just hitting you for damage, there's not much you can do about it, especially with Inescapable Blaze. I have Inescapable Blaze in this kit. I have it in real life. That is 6 unblockable, unpreventable damage that I can hit right at the player. And I have all 4 in my hand at the beginning, which has happened on a few occasions. I've just straight up rinsed through a game. Just being like, okay, Inescapable Blaze. There's 6 damage. You're at 14. You're at 14 health. Boom. Another 6 damage. You are at 8 health. Then boom, you're at 2 health, and then boom, you're at -4 health. Good game. One turn right after the other, because I think it's like a few mana, so it doesn't have to be that early. It can be pretty early on in the game. I just lay them out. And like I can speed up the process a little bit if I have some spare mana and I use shock or something like this to like do a little bit more extra damage, which can be blocked, but a lot of times at that point doesn't have anything to do to prevent that damage as well. So literally just like I don't have to play any creatures on stuff. It's just like boom, 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 damage, damage, damage. But I digress. Yeah, okay. The Fair Basilica is a land, a sphere. Doesn't look like a sphere. Looks like some kind of Bifrost, like from Asgard, that kind of thing. That's what it looks like. Not specifically, but like the shape of like this is the thing, and then the bridge. So it looks more like the Bifrost than a sphere. I'm not saying that this is what the Bifrost looks like. I'm just saying it looks more like the Bifrost than it does a sphere. Because a sphere is a ball, and it doesn't look like a ball. But the shape, the very vague shape of it, is more like the Bifrost. Because it has that, like, lump at the end of a bridge. I know, it's the most vaguest of vague descriptions of both things. But it's more closely to that than a sphere. I know, I'm speaking nonsense, and I apologize for it, but that's not a sphere. The Fair Basilica enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add 1 white mana. Or pay 1 of any color and 1 white mana, then tap, then sacrifice the Fair Basilica. I can say the card's name, and then draw a card. See, that's a lot better drawing a card than costing you a life point. Just saying. I won't let that die. A thrumming bird. Because it doesn't hum, it thrums. Whatever thrumming does. Or is. Anyways, it is a 2-drop creature Phyrexian bird horror. Boy, is it a horror. Has flying, should be a given. It is a bird. And not a flightless bird. Whenever throwing bird deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. So we've got more proliferate ability going on. And it's a 1/1, by the way. A blight belly rat. Disgusting. It is a 2-drop creature Phyrexian rat. It has toxic 1. When blight belly rat dies, proliferate. Okay. And it's a 2/2. Moving on. Maze's Mantle is a 3-drop enchantment aura. Has flash. Enchant creature. When Maze's Mantle enters the battlefield, if enchanted creature has toxic, that creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. Not a bad enchantment. Especially if you have creatures with toxic. Like this one. Because they're both green, so you can obviously put them in the same deck. You can put any of these in the same deck, but like you can guarantee that you can put these two in the same deck because they're both the same mana color, so you've already got that mana color in the deck, so they can go together. Especially because if enchanted creature gets toxic, that it gets hexproof until the end of turn. So that one has toxic, it gets hexproof, which can guarantee you that that damage that you want. Because if it has hexproof, it can't be affected by an instant, so it can't be like prevent all damage. So if they don't have another creature to block, well, actually, it'd still be doing damage, combat damage to the other to the blocking. So the only way to stop the combat damage, to stop the poison counter from going up, is if to stop it with a sorcery or instant or whatever have you, to be like prevent all damage or destroy target creature or whatever. That can be prevented if it has the hexproof from this. So, ergo, we've got a nice little wombo combo right there with that. And it gets the +2/+2, so you're dealing more damage. But if you're doing the poison counter strat, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. But like, it's always good to do damage. Like, even if it's not your goal to get them to 0 health, it's your goal to get them to 10 or more poison counters. Bringing their health down or taking out their creatures is always a good thing to help you on your way. Because you could be having the target goal of giving them 10 or more poison counters for the win, and then take out their health first and get the victory that way. Not as your goal, but as a welcome option for victory. Because it's like, I didn't intend to win this way, I intended to do the poison counter thing, but a win's a win, I'll take it either way kind of deal. So, it's whatever. Moving on, we've got Necrogen Rot Priest. Okay. It is a 4-drop creature Phyrexian zombie cleric. That is a odd combination, but alright. And it has toxic too. So we've got your green toxic mechanic going on. Honestly, these 4 right here could go in a deck together, because it's that one's black green, and then you've got green and black there. So these could all work together in tandem. Like, this one works with the toxic. This one, I believe, it has toxic and works with the toxic, and then these two have toxic. So that all works in a nice little tandem. Let's continue on with this specific creature. Whenever a creature you control with toxic deals combat damage to a player, that player gets an additional poison counter. So you've then essentially proliferated, but specifically with the poison counter, that's pretty good. You can pay 1 of any color, 1 black and 1 green, and target creature you control with toxic gains death touch until end of turn. So not only can you have it have hexproof until the end of a turn, you can also give it death touch until end of turn. And so if you use both of these on this, you've got a 5/3 branch blight stalker with hexproof until end of turn and death touch. So if that incentivizes that disables the person's way of preventing it through instants and sorceries, and then also that deters them from blocking with a creature. So that way, that 5 damage that you're going to deal with it, because then it's a 5/3, would go through. And if they do decide to block it, then no matter what the health and the attack of that creature is, it is going to die. So you've guaranteed a creature destruction on top of the poison counter, on top of the 5, damage to whatever. So whether it be the creature, it doesn't matter what it does to the creature, but you've helped your chances of having that 5 damage go directly to the player. If not, you've taken out a creature, And either way, you have you've got 3 poison counters on this. So the 2 from here from the Toxic 2, and then the additional 1 from that. And then if you also swing with that as well, you've got another 2. And I think when a creature you control. So that includes that creature, so that actually 6. So you're already over halfway to poison counter killing them just by using these 2 with this and attacking with both this and that. That's a play. That's a play right there. Anyways, like I said, that's a 1/5, so we are going to move on, but keep in mind that's a pretty good strat. And I never would have thought of it if I didn't open a pack with all 4 of these cards. I mean, this one really not so much. Like, yeah, you can do it 2, and then that's 2 more, which is 8. So you literally all in one, like 3 creatures swing could do 8 poison counters, and then you've got them. Because then, if you have more than one of these, you just gotta swing with that, and then they're done. So, or you just have to swing with that because that would still have that if the enchantment's still out. No, that one. If that one didn't get killed in the first 3 creature swing, then that ability would still activate for this, and you can either use this, or if you have another of these, or if you just have another one of these, or 2 of them to swing with. However you do the last 2 poison counters you need is whatever. But like the big huge play is these with this, and then swing with the 2 creatures. You swing with the 2 creatures, that's an enchantment. But like you swing with the 3 creatures, and then that's 8, and then whatever gets you your other 2. That can get it. But never would have thought of all that if they weren't in a pack together. So if you guys are building decks and you have these cards, then definitely that's a play that you can do, and that would be a very quick win once you've got all those out. And if they don't, prevent any of those creatures and enchantments from working. Anyways, let's reveal the last card, shall we? Black Sun's Twilight, which is a variable drop. X of whatever mana and 1 black. It's an instant, and up to 1 target creature gets -X, -X until end of turn. If X is 5 or more, return a creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So, basically, you can just outright kill a creature by... example. Necrogen Rot Priest. If your opponent has a Necrogen Rot Priest, and you cast this instant, by using 5 of any color plus the 1 black, then X is 5. So that'd be -5, -5, -5, -5, whatever you want to call it, which would bring that to a -4, 0. And when it has the second number is 0, for those of you who don't know, that means it dies, just as if it was dealt combat damage and died. So then your opponent would discard that card, it would go into the graveyard, and then you, if you had 5 or more, so which you did to get that gone, You can return a creature with mana value of 5 or less, in this case, from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So you've got Resurrection. It's all basically a life trade at that point. If not, if it's like if you only paid 3 for the variable, then the only thing is like you could kill off like a Blight Belly Rat. It'd be -1, -1. It'd be dead, and then nothing else happens because it wasn't 5. It wasn't 5 or more. So, and once again, you could easily use that in the same deck as those. It doesn't work with it doesn't affect the whole strategy of these 4 cards, but you could use it to target anything that would block, and then you can have all that damage go through. Let's say, I guess you can have it in the strat. So let's say when you're swinging with this, they want to take that out. So they're going to block specifically that with something that will kill it. And because you want to use it the next turn to get that additional poison counter to use the rat for the final blow, then you use this to play on the opposing blocking creature, so that way you save your Necrogen Rot Priest from death, so you can use the rat the next turn for your final blow. Or if you don't want to do that and you just want to do it with the Stalker, then you can. But like I said, once you do that first swing with all 3 of those creatures with the enchantment out, however you do the other 2 poison counter for the win is totally up to you. That I'm not gonna tell you exactly how, but I've given you a strat to get them up to 8 poison counters in one big swing. Or if you want to space this out through multiple turns, you can do so as well. But yeah, I've been giving you all a great strategy for a poison counter win using these cards. And we are officially almost at an hour and a quarter, and we went through 3 decks. And we didn't encounter any cards that had a spell book attached to it with 15 extra cards. But like I said, if we did, I wouldn't have gone through all of them. And it's a good thing too, because then that would have easily made this an hour and 45-minute stream, or I wouldn't have opened this pack. Either way, it all worked out, which means next time we will be doing the Shadows over Innistrad Remastered packs, and then we'll probably be doing one expansion, one of type of the pack. So we'll be doing these three. All I have is 3 threes. Okay, that one has 4. Other than that one might be an extra long edition of this kind of stream. But all the other packs have 3. All the other kinds of packs have 3 packs in them. So these could each individually be their own stream, which is the current game plan. So we did have it offset by one where I was doing the last pack of a certain thing, and then I made sure last time to not do that. So now we're back on track with every stream should be a different type of pack. So the next time we do this, it'll be Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, and then we of course will work our way up to the newest, which is Murders at Karlov Manor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Lord of the Rings one, because I am a Lord of the Rings fan. So looking forward to that, but that'll have to wait for these 3 to get these 9 packs to get opened first, but we're doing 3 at a time, so it'll be 3 streams from the next stream. So look forward to those. If you enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. If you're new and haven't done already, haven't done so already, subscribe. Consider joining the channel as a member for $1 a month. You get a shout out at the very next time I am either live or in a video after you've joined, plus other perks. I do have a idea of what I would like to do for another perk for membership, but we will see how well that can be implemented. So stay tuned for that. In the description below, there are some links to Twitch channels. Those are my friends' Twitch channels. They like to stream on Twitch instead of on YouTube, which, to each their own. But if you would like to check them out, they are down there for clicking. Underneath those links, however, are links to my social media. So if you want to check me out on social media, you can do so there. And that's pretty much everything. So with all that said,